Uh-oh. Testing. 1, 2. Hold on. Let me see if I can get audio. Let's see if I can do this. I think. Oh, okay. Testing. 1, 2. Hold on. Okay, good. I have audio. So here's the deal. This. Okay, there it is. This is a business, brother. Um, a business. Excuse me for 1 sec. These allergies are killing me. They've been tearing me up all week. This is a business of constant, more pain than joy. And I'll tell you what I mean. A lot of times, folks, when they try to get into trading, they want to get into the charts, to the news, to the numbers, want to get the strategies. You know, I was telling Brother W, especially the thing that I'm doing on Dolphus market timing. The thing about that is that can't be shared right now because that's part of what I call the Man Friday project, which is why I got into trading in the first place. Some of the folks know what Man Friday is that are on the other channel, but it's a Man Friday project. It's not about cash and money and this and that. This is all part of a project, Man Friday. So anything that I do, you know, it's been over 12 years working on this project. It has to stay until the Man Friday culmination. If I give it out or someone, that's why I've been getting hacked a lot. If somebody takes it, then that could affect a few thousand lives, you know, probably tens of thousands of lives. So that's why I have to be very secretive about a lot of things, you know, and, you know, just very ambiguous until the Man Friday project, you know, I mean, it really affect, you know, an enormous amount of black folk. So I have to be extremely careful as to what, you know, goes out. Um, the thing is basically this business, okay? And the reason I say business, this was something somebody told me, you can't predict markets. One guy did it in history. It'll never be done again. I said, okay, that's all you need to tell a brother, because you know us as brothers, we always try to prove the inevitable. You know, we always try to prove, you know, the impossible. Um, you know, it's just, you know, and we normally do it with our psychology than anything else. I mean, shoot, we go to New York and how many folks are out there debating on the streets? But there was a trader, and he's one of the best traders in the world. He's an educator. The guy, he's been with, you know, he's one of the last of the whales. The whales are like the guys, you know. I mean, he is. I have to tip my hat to him. He had even asked me one time to go and edit his book when it was one of the things happening in Vegas, one of the conferences, and he said, you know, he says you can try it, but ain't nobody going to do what George Marshall did. I said, if I can find a way to not only do what he did to predict markets, but I actually make something good, and I can actually, you know, not necessarily just teaching the trading, but teaching the psychology of it. Again, you put that basically when they put they put the basketball in the hands of a brother, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you get, LeBron. You put the football in the hands of a brother, you get Marshawn Lynch. You put golf clubs, even in a Caucasian or whatever Tiger calls himself, and you see what happens. You know, with the exception of, you know, you put it into the hands of the wife, and you get a couple of lumps on your head. Yeah, you know. But anyways, basically what this was is I said I want to create something that folks could use that would, again, this may affect tens of thousands of lives once I finish this project. You know, that's why I did this. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't about being, you know, the master trader, the guru, or this and that, and you're bling bling, and I want to buy rims. No, that's the furthest thing from my mind. Okay. The thing was to create something that folks will say, we didn't think it was possible. And that's, again, why things are being, you know, and that's, you know, when a lot of folks do this, a lot of folks get into this, they have a reason. Some are like, oh, I want to supplement my retirement. Some are like, I want to be, you know, a trillionaire. And some are like, but when you have a reason that's beyond everything else, then and the reason I'm telling you all this, it'll make the psychology aspect, which is 50% of what this business is. It makes it a lot easier because you're doing this not for something short term. You're doing this as part of winning a war, you know, or you know, or curing something or something. You're doing this as part of a greater thing, you know, even if it's just, okay, I want to do this to get on my vacation and whatever, but you have an ultimate goal that you're striving for. So all the little pitfalls and all the little problems, which you will have a lot in this business, the enormous amount of what you will have are hurdles, pitfalls, potholes, booby traps, more than you will have resting places where you could sit there, and lollipops and those little birds off of Zippity Doodah that are, singing and whistling. I mean, I'm telling you, that's what this business is going to be: more pitfalls, potholes, booby traps, and everything else than anything else. And so therefore, if you're looking at your ultimate goal, then you're not really, the little thing, these things will not bother you, because all you see is that goal ahead of you. All you see is that mission, that thing, that end goal, the end game, the thing that matters more than anything else. You're seeing the reason, and not the little things that will get in your way. One of the things that I always say, Brother N, and I've been telling a lot of folks, of course, this whole thing is about psychology more than anything else. And our psychology, of course, differs from European psychology or anyone else's in the world. Our senses are a lot finer. Our emotions are a lot more dynamic. I'm trying to use that and use those terms very politically, and instead of saying when we get mad, we really get, we go off. Or when we get happy, I mean, just go to, shoot. We know how we are when we're at parties. We know it's just, that's what happens when you've been around on this planet a few million years before anyone else arrived. Of course, you're going to be more fine-tuned and more, advanced, for lack of a better term. So anyways, I like to deal with the psychology of who we are, even though that, the psychology of others, we know it goes without saying. I'm trying to deal with the psychology of who we are and what affects us. And I'm gonna tell you, this business is 50% psychology, 45% money management, and 5% what I do, which is create holy grails. And the holy grail is inside that gelatinous mass between your ears. That's what the real holy grail that exists is. That that little the thing between the 7 inches or 10 inches between your ears, depending on how the size of the head. 10 inches. That's somebody that's probably not doing well. But I'm just trying to say that the brain is the grill, but I create those things that make the grill that make the grill flourish, for lack of a better term. In other words, if 50% of this is a business of probabilities. If you know that 80% of the time that something is going to happen, that you're going to, if it's something you want, you're going to make sure you're in that environment 80% of the time, or as 100% of the time. You're going to at least try to be there as much as possible, because 80% of the time is, for instance, if someone said 80% of the time, 1 second, man, these Alex cases. If someone told you that 80% of the time, every time you walked out of the house, that you're going to end up, stubbing your toe, you're going to be very careful every time you walk out the house, because by the end of the week, you're going to you're not going to be able to walk. Things are going to, you're going to be limping. So you're going to be very careful. If somebody told you 80% of the time you walk out of the house, someone is going to, hand you a lottery ticket that's going to be, a winning ticket. All you have to do is walk out your house and you get a free meal and, a free wardrobe. You're going to spend more time walking out of your house than anything else. You probably won't even be able to, you won't know your kitchen 3 weeks, from the time, because you're going to be walking out of the house all the time. That's what this business is all about: probabilities. And probabilities money management. When you have, basically what you're doing is you're using probabilities to maximize what your money management will be. And that's what it is. If you can maximize, you use your psychology to make the probabilities work. So that way, the probabilities are in your favor, because the psychology says, I'm going to manage the probabilities. The probabilities say, well, I'm going to manage the money. It is so important, because psychology tells you when to, it tells you when to do things. It tells you, you have to stick to it. You've got to stick to it. You just got to, the psychology says do it, because if your psychology is not right, then your probabilities are skewed. So therefore, you're not going to know whether you walk out the house 80% of the time and you get a lottery ticket, or you walk outside every 80% of the time and you stub your toe. You won't know which is which, because you just won't know, because of the fact that, basically what happens is you get to a point where your psychology messed you up so much to where it skewed your probabilities. Therefore, what do you know how to manage? You won't know whether to walk out the house, or to board up your windows, or set your lawn on fire. You won't know what to do. So basically, the psychology is the most important aspect, 50%. Money management is 45%. But realizing that this is nothing more than just a probability based business, or I like to say the business of decision making. That's all it is. This is the business of decisions. What are you going to decide? Are you going to decide to do this? Are you going to decide to do that? But decisions are all about psychology. I can't stress enough. A lot of folks try to get into this. I say, whatever you do, don't look at a chart. Don't look at news. Don't look at numbers and financial. Don't even talk to folks until you get your psychology together. That's 50% of your business. If you know that 50% of your business, you're in a business of selling popcorn, and at least 50% of it is about those kernels you have, you're not going to go out there and try to, sell chicken McNuggets at a popcorn shop. Folks might like it, but they know where to buy chicken McNuggets. If you're saying you're selling popcorn, if that's 50% of your business, you're going to concentrate on that. Psychology is at least 50% of what this business is. Why? Because psychology is about making decisions. What are you going to do? What is your decision when something happens? Well, if you make those decisions just right, and you know the probability of those decisions you make, okay, 80% of the time I walk out the house, this is going to happen. You've already surmised what your probability is. All you have to do is manage money. All you got to do is manage, okay, if I do this enough, and if it's going to, it's all about risk management. That's all this business is risk management. It's that simple. I tell folks risk management is, it's like this much. If you know that every time that you use a word that you say a word that has the letter I in it, someone's going to slap you on the left side of your face. Every time that you use a word that has the letter E in it, you get to punch Donald Trump in his nose and kick him in his nuts. You're going to manage, and you're going to realize, you're going to analyze every word you say. You're going to make sure that every single word you say is going to be something that, you're going to have that psychology to go ahead and basically you're managing the risk. Do you want to get slapped? And let's put it this way. Every time you say the letter I, any word that has the letter I, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson gets to slap you on the side of the face, and you have to thank him. Every time that you say a word with the letter E, you get to, again, punch Donald Trump in the nose, kick him in the balls, and then you get to go ahead and sucker punch Ted Cruz twice. You're gonna manage every word that you say, because the psychology is going to let you manage those words. The psychology is going to say, okay, these are risk management. You're going to manage your risk. So therefore, because we don't know all the words we say in the course of a day, but we're going to know what words we're going to say. For instance, I just said the word I just got slapped. For instance, I said, so Dwayne "Rock" Johnson slapped, he just slapped me on the side of the face, but I got to punch Ted Cruz and kick Donald Trump in the nuts. So therefore, I know what my risk is. A risk of a slap, but I at least get to punch two people. Say, for instance, you switch that around. Every time that you say the word E with an E in it, you get to slap Dwayne Rock Johnson. I wouldn't recommend that, because it would be kind of painful at the end. But Donald Trump and Ted Cruz, every time you say the word that has the letter I, or no, let's put it this way. Every time you say the letter I, you slap Rock Johnson, Dwayne Rock Johnson. Every time you say the letter E, a word that has the letter E, both Ted Cruz and Donald Trump on a rally get to kick you in the balls and punch you, and you have to thank them. Matter of fact, you have to thank them with a poster of Barack Obama wearing red, black, and green t-shirt, and you have to shout "Black Lives Matter," and you have to say it twice and say, screw the GOP. Now, you're going to manage which words you say, whether you say I or whether you say E, okay? You're going to manage those words that you say carefully, because you know what the risk is. The risk, inherent risk of, that's all this business is, the business of decisions. A decision of what risk am I going to take? Money management. If, for instance, here's what I mean. And the reason I say this is I like to say, because a lot of times people get into trading thinking trading is, and I work with, there's three of the best trading psychologists that have taught me more than anything. Okay. And I've talked to all three of them on several occasions. They've taught me so much. And I think two of them are sports psychologists. They work with athletes, and they've taught me so much about psychology, and I'm still having trouble with it. This is a business where you're never going to trading is the easiest thing to do. I'm going to say it again. The easiest thing to do, but the most impossible and hardest thing to accomplish. Anyone can trade and push a button and say buy or sell, but to accomplish it takes a lifetime. A lot of folks say, what do you mean trading is easy? Yeah, I talk to a lot of floor traders, and I say the same thing. They call me, I get some more calls by floor traders saying, dude, I've never really met a guy that's got a handle on things, in this business, but thanks for helping me out. And these are floor traders that have went to screen trading, and, many of them doing okay. With every one of them, when I say, oh yeah, it's easy to do, but it takes a lifetime to accomplish, it's the hardest thing to accomplish. Then they're saying, okay, because you tell the trader, oh, it's easy, they're gonna kick your ass until you say, wait, it's easy just to pull a trigger. I'm not saying making money or doing anything of that nature. It's easy to just say, oh, buy or sell, but it's almost impossible to accomplish. It beats you up. This is a business where, and I'm gonna give you the feeling of what this business is. This is a business of when you do good, you're almost, it's like, say for instance, you saved a kitten. It was in a tree next to a burning house. You crawled over, saved an entire family, and the house is burning because ISIS went and burned it. But the family had the cure to cancer and the cure to every disease, and you saved them. And at the bottom, you also brought out, a pot of gold, and the key to the, and you had the tape of who exactly killed JFK, and you saved them. You saved all the artifacts. Then you went in and you saved an entire, a bus full of school children that was headed off the cliff. You saved them, and then in the meantime, you went ahead and you solved the key to life itself, but you didn't get any recognition. Folks said, oh, well, I'd rather watch the Kardashians. So what? Brother N did all this stuff, and he even found the cure to cancer. Who cares? I'm gonna watch the game. Stephen Curry's playing. So what? He gets one view on YouTube on that. So what? I'd rather watch somebody that's ratcheting and watching and beefing back and forth, and they're getting 10 million views. That's funny. I like hip hop, and you save the world, but you get no recognition. And on the other hand, that's the reward. But on the other hand, the risk, or i.e., the things when it goes badly, this is a business, because it's a business of decision. This is a business where every day you get up, you get kicked in the balls by someone, your worst enemy. It kicks you in the balls every day, punches you in the neck. And then they have to come to your house. You have to make them breakfast. Then they sleep in your bed. They wake up in the morning and punch you in the neck. You have to make them, food every morning and say, okay, thank you. And you have to thank them for this. And then they go out and you go to work, and this individual that you can't stand happens to be your boss or someone else you hate at work. Then they debase you at work, and then they slap you around. And then you have to thank them, and you have to ask for it again. And then all of a sudden, the boss comes up, even if it isn't the boss, they say, we're going to deduct your pay and give it to this person because of the fact that we just think that he's cool for kicking your ass. You get back home, and you have to give that person a ride, and then you have to cook them dinner while they kick you in the balls again, and you have to thank them, and they have to laugh. They sit in your favorite chair and watch all the stuff on TV that you wanted to watch, or on your computer. You can't touch it until they're done. And then you have to thank them for this. And then you have to go sleep in the, by the dog house, or, out on the couch or on the floor while they're sleeping in your bed with sugar plums dancing in their heads. And then they wake up, and you have to say, hey, good morning, while they slap you in the face, and you have to cook them breakfast, and you have to thank them. And this what happens over and over and over and over every day. That's what this business is like every day, all day, every day. It's a business of, when you make your trades, and it might be a good trade and you feel good, you're humbled by the dichotomy, or the polar opposite, over and over and over. I mean, it's hard. It's disappointment after frustration after frustration with a tiny little bit of, I finally think I got it. And you make some good games, you do good, then all of a sudden, bam, you get slapped again, punched again. That's what this business is. It's a business of frustration coupled with, yes, I'm on king of the world. You're thinking like you're Leonardo DiCaprio on, the Titanic with your arms spread out and Kate Winslet, and you're thinking that you're going to make it home. Then all of a sudden, iceberg ahead. Then you're swimming and you're like, damn, it's cold. Then all of a sudden, you think you got on a life raft. Then all of a sudden, a shark comes, says, hey, Kate Winslet, she tastes good. Hey, Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm still kind of hungry. I mean, this is what this business is. It's from king of the world to major disappointment, frustration, major disappointment, frustration, major disappointment. That's why I'm saying it's the psychology, because all that is about the decisions you make. If you know that happens, then there's no problem because your psychology is set. This is not about, I could put some of my grills in the hands of some individuals and they'll outpace anything. Whereas I could put the grills in some folks' hands, even my own. And it's like you're getting kicked in the balls, that's what this business is. It's from, fun and games and happy to, man, not again. Dwayne Rock Johnson just punched me in the neck. And you have to thank him and ask for seconds. And matter of fact, you have to pay him to do it, to punch you again. That's what this business is, over and over and over. Folks that say they haven't felt that, or it's not like that, or they're the king of the mountain, or they, I'm all that. This is what I love about this business, because the folks that think that when these 3 words, when somebody says, I figured it out, or 4 words, I figured it out. I figured has an I, it has an I. So I just got 3 slaps by Dwayne Rock Johnson. Figure that has an E. I just got kicked by Ted Cruz. But anyways, 4 words. I'm being facetious. 4 words. I'm telling you, brother A, 4 words that really can surmise what this business is about. Whenever someone says, I figured it out, I know right then and there that they're going to go through some hell. Okay. The moment somebody says, I got it, I know this, I'm a guru. You don't know nothing. As soon as I hear that, all I know is, okay, no worries. Mr. Market is coming in, and you hear this knock, you hear that. I just know who that is. That's Mr. Market. He's showing up. Basically, he took an Uber to get to their house, and Mr. Market says, oh, so you think you figured this out? Well, you don't mind if I have some coffee, do you? But Mr. Market is that guy that punches you in your neck every day, kicks you in the balls every day. You have to thank Mr. Market and ask for seconds, and you have to pay his Uber ride too. That's what this business is. It's disappointment, pain, and frustration. On the other hand, it's complete, total, fun and joy of like, yeah, and this, finally I feel verified, vindicated. Then all of a sudden, sorry, man, I'm late. Who are you? My name is Mr. Market, man. Sorry, I'm not. Uber was late, man. Traffic was bad. You mind if I get some coffee? I know you ain't gonna mind. And you have to let him in. And Mr. Market's like Dracula. He comes in and he stays. And he takes blood out of you. And you have to thank him. And you'll feel anemic for a couple of days, and he'll make you feel good and say, here's a little, little food to get your blood supply back up. No worries. You'll be okay. I got your back. I got you, bro. No problem, dog. Then all of a sudden, Mr. Market gets a little hungry. And he says, hey, that little neck is feeling good. I need some more blood. I'm just trying to tell you that this business is psychology more than anything else. I try to tell folks, don't look at charts. When they first start, I ask a series of questions. And a lot of the questions I ask, which a lot of trader psychologists and some that even I developed my own, are questions that I ask people before they get in this business. I say, you have to, hold on for a second, because I think somebody's at the gate. Oh no, it's just mail, because we have a security gate. Here's the deal. Mr. Market, this is one thing I ask folks, a lot of questions so they can actually know that Mr. Market, when he shows up, they know what to expect. These questions are what's in their minds. Okay, remember, Mr. Market is in your mind. All he is your psychology and how you manage. Mr. Market is the market, the business of decisions. Trading, investing is nothing more than the business of decision making. But you're looking at everyone else in the world who's made decisions as well. And your decisions and their decisions are what makes up Mr. Market. Mr. Market, he's like Dracula. He likes to come, but here's what manages. This is what makes things better for you in terms of dealing with quote unquote Dracula. Let me tell you something. This is what what will make life so much easier to live is that I try to tell folks. As I say, series of questions at Christmas. If you have a lot of siblings or some siblings in your, doesn't if you have just one sibling at Christmas, and say that you woke up late and everybody was downstairs opening up presents. When you saw them opening up presents, how did you feel when you were there? Or somebody went to a party and they forgot to invite you, or they're at a party and they call you and you're at home or somewhere, or an event, or how did you feel? Or somebody who bought the winning lottery ticket before you bought it just right before you, how did you feel? What was that thing in your head? Do you shop with a shopping list? Do you use a GPS even to a place that you've been to a lot? Do you use a GPS? Even if you've been there 1,000 times, do you still use it? Even if you know you're supposed to use it? I ask questions like, when you're in a group full of strangers, are you the one to initiate the conversation, or do you wait and see what happens? I ask questions like, do you use your left turn signal or your right turn signal? When you're trained, do you use a turn signal? When you're pulling up to a stoplight, or when you're pulling up and you see the light is yellow and it just turns yellow, do you try to go through the yellow? When you're pulling away from the stoplight and the stoplight is red, are you the first to try to pull out there? I have a series that's 40 minutes of questions, and I can almost tell you what it's going to be like when you trade. This took me years to develop, and I'm still going through it myself when I trade. This is what this business is. But the more and more you start asking these type of questions, and sometimes you have to develop your own, because this is what this business is. Trading is a toothbrush. It's your own toothbrush. Your method of how you trade is your own toothbrush. I don't use anyone else's toothbrush, and I will definitely not be around anyone that uses someone else's toothbrush. That's not very, it's not something I would suggest. I don't wear someone else's underwear. I would not suggest, someone doing that. That's what trading is. It's your own toothbrush. It's your own underwear. A lot of folks don't realize that that's what this business is. It's a business of decisions, and it's a business of doing your own work. I get a lot of times folks saying, "Man, you got to give me the, man, show me the." I can tell that that's a person that Mr. Market will soon show up at their house and say, "Hey, man, we need to talk. I'm sorry my Uber ride was late. I tried to take a cab to get to you, but I see that you think you got it. Or I see that you don't want to do your own work. You like using other people's toothbrush. Well, I got a little something for you." And Mr. Market has a lot of something for him. And what happens is he usually takes it out on their accounts. He's very good at that. He's one of the best accountants I know. He's probably the best. He can take things out on a person, and he's a very vengeful person. Mr. Market doesn't play it, but when someone has their psychology right, Mr. Market can't play with them. Mr. Market knows that Brother N has, Brother A has his stuff together. I can't play the dozens on him, because he knows he's got game. Mr. Market can't hang with him. So Mr. Market sits back and says, "Hey, bro, you in charge. You running this block." That's what it's all about. A lot of folks, every time I hear the words, "Hey, man, show me that," without them seeing how that will amplify or affect their own toothbrush, that's someone I know, or this one brother was always, give me the, or always looking for books to read, trading books to read, this book to read, that book to read. That's someone who's always what we call the Monday morning quarterback. They got a lot to say, but they'll never do anything, because Mr. Market keeps them from doing it. And I'm telling you, man, and the folks anyone that hasn't, I've talked to so many floor traders and so many interviews and so many psychologists, they all said the same thing. And I'm just summing it up in what I call hood speak, those that our folk can actually deal with. It just, our psychology, Brother N, is a lot different than anyone else's. Here's a case in point. We know, and especially brothers, and in particular brothers. That's why I went through the psychology of Black folk on my other channel, because I'm trying to get folks into a whole, to knowing the crux of our psychology, which will when this grill is released, it'll pretty much, you know, basically it'll trade itself because we'll have a grip on what our psychology really is. Brothers will sit in the barbershop, and you know it, brother. I go to the barbershop, you know, and actually I think the barber messed me up the other day. We'll sit in the barbershop and brothers will be talking about everything and then some that they're experts on that has nothing to do with anything in reality. For instance, we'll start talking about sports, women, cars, money, politics, you name it. And we're the masters of it all. We know all about no, this and that. And the conversation will start out maybe about sports. It'll gravitate toward women for a while. And then it'll go into, you know, maybe something that happened at the, you know, on the street. Then it'll get into politics. Then it'll go back to sports or whatever. And we're always, I mean, we're basically, you know, debaters to the T, to the ultimate. And it's not just, you know, I mean, we're talking brothers across the globe. That's just what we are. But here's the thing. Mr. Market does not care because he's very objective. He doesn't care. He's one of the most omniscient individuals. Doesn't care whether the sky is blue, whether Kanye and Kardashian break up, or whether LeBron goes and Steve Curry and or Stephen Curry and Kobe do a 3-man game against, you know, the entire Grizzlies. They don't care. Okay, they really don't care. I said the Grizzlies. God, no, you see, you know, I almost said the Giants. Mr. Market doesn't care. Debating, wanting to know, and thinking that you're right. Let me tell you something. And as brothers, we always think that we're right. Just go to any barbershop. Brothers always think they know everything. We just know it all. But that's what Mr. Market likes, because that's where he gets some of his best food supply. You know, he's like Dracula, and we make a very good food supply for Mr. Market. You know, because he's like, man, I love when brothers think they know it all. Because I haven't, and I'm so hungry. I mean, it took a while. It took 30 minutes to get here by Uber. And man, you know, let me look at your account, brother N. Let me see what you got. Oh yeah, your brother. Yeah. Brothers, you know, he's got an affinity for that. That's one of his most tasty dishes. And he'll eat an account. He'll eat an account very well. Okay, because that's what he'll sit there and get Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, and Dwayne Rock Johnson, and he'll bring them over for, you know, they'll have a little cookout at your house because he knows somebody's getting beat up, and it ain't gonna be those three. Okay, yeah, I'm just trying to give you the psychology of this business. I mean, if I can tell you the feelings that folks go through, I don't want folks looking at charts. I don't want folks thinking about, you know, oh, I got to be right about this, and I'm the, you know, I predicted that. And no. What I'm doing is something that was for a statistical thing, for mathematical reasons, to create something. It wasn't something like, I got to be right. Yes, I've been able to predict the market turns like there's none other lately. I mean, it's phenomenal. But it has nothing, there's no money management behind it. There's no psychology behind it. Sure, I'm sure some folks have probably traded, made a lot of money on it so far, and they owe me dinner, but it doesn't matter. And I like lobster, and I'm not talking about that little thing off of Little Mermaid. You know, I want some really good food if you made some money off of what I've been doing lately. I'm sure there are many that, you know, and most of them are probably not brothers. You owe me dinner, you know, because it's been, you know, I'm showing the world live, you know, these grills that I'm putting together. And so it's, like I said, it's third-party verification. The world saw it live. The thing is basically, brother N, is I'm trying to get the psychology aspect first of what folks have to. I mean, the thing is you cannot lie to yourself. Trading is a mirror. It looks at you every day. It knows where all your boogers are at. It knows whether you brushed your teeth, combed your hair. It knows how you're feeling. It knows, you know, that you know, when you got crust in your eyes from sleeping and then you just got up and said, oh, it knows if, oh, he needs to, you know, he needs different deodorant. Mr. Market does not play. It knows everything. It's a mirror. Trading is not, that trading screen is nothing more than a mirror. And I try to tell folks, don't look at charts. Don't look at any of this stuff. Don't look at any books. Don't read one book. Don't, oh man. The vendors, it's funny, they're selling these little, I'm not sure what they are. They're like that's got like beef on a tortilla, and then they got the corn. I think that's what they got. Yeah. So I'm trying to think what they're saying. Forgot my Spanish. But anyways, basically what you have is Mr. Market, and is nothing more than how you handle your psychology in this business of decisions. That's all it is. Business of decisions. Am I going to buy, or am I going to sell, or am I going to wait? That's it. Those are the only three decisions this business has. Am I going to buy? Am I going to sell? Or am I going to wait? When, where, how, why, that's already figured out in your money management. Remember, 50% of this business is psychology, the business of decisions. Are you going to do it? What are you going to do? The other is money management. When? When am I going to buy? Okay, it says this. Where? Oh, I'm going to buy at this price. How? I'm going to go ahead and set 2 ticks over here and my stop over here. Why? Because I see that my risk to reward ratio is such and such, such and such. Who? Well, I might do a USD CHF currency pair, or it's a stock. The stock, especially when I've been in for a while, it's up about $2, but I think I'm going to take it off because I see that it's getting a little toppy, and I've already, my profit is over. It's a 10-to-1 risk to reward ratio, anyways. So anyways, I mean, these are the business of decisions. That's all this business is. And the thing is, a lot of folks try to make it complicated. Brother N, and I've been telling Brother W and the others, that's why I like to say the more complicated I see a screen, I could tell that's, I can say, okay, they're gonna be, Mr. Market's gonna show up. Let me tell you something. Every one of the psychologists I talked to, and these are the most renowned trading and sports psychologists, they said folks that went through the psychological aspect saved themselves 7 to 10 years in this business. Anyone that looked at the chart first or got into reading books and everything else, they're 10 years behind everyone else who hadn't. I'm gonna say it again. They're 10 years, 7 to 10 years behind other folks who haven't. And I said, wait a minute, it doesn't make sense. I talked to some floor traders off and on, and they're saying, yeah, dude, we didn't have to, all we did is we knew where the orders were. We knew where the orders were at here and there, and we knew what we had to do. We didn't have time. We had to make a decision right there and this and that. We just knew what the orders were, how much we were going to make. We knew what our risk was, and we had to get in there out before the other guy. We had to beat him at his orders before this and that. They didn't have to look at all these, what's going to happen in this, and the MACD is doing that. They had to make a decision, bottom line. And like I said, they know what it's like. The salt mines. Floor traders are like the dudes that work in the salt mines. It's one of the hardest businesses ever is trading. It's like working the most dangerous jobs, the catching the crabs. That's what those guys on the floor were like. Okay, like I said, it's easy to pull the trigger. Oh, I'll trade it, buy it and sell and this and that. But in order to really accomplish it and be it, live it, you're in the salt mines. You're on the dangerous catch. Those crab guys in Alaska, because this is, I mean, some of them cats lost their minds, because it's so intense, it's so hard. So I mean, it's heavy duty, and I'm talking some of these floor guys I talk to. I mean, it's like heavy duty what they went through, and a lot of folks, oh, it ain't nothing. Okay, yeah, try it, and try it with your money, your rent money. Try it with your children's college. You're going to see how much pain and what Mr. Market can show you. Oh, he can show you some things. Okay, I mean, he can teach you a few things, and that's why Brother N, Brother A, I keep saying this because I'm trying to make it easier for folks so they know that. And I'm talking our folks. Our psychology is different from anyone else in this world. African psychology is totally different. We know a certain thing that we do, that we hold on to, that ain't nobody else knows, but only we know. Yet we know everyone else. It's, hey, you've been around for a few million years. It is what it is. I can't change that. I didn't ask for it. I'm just glad I have it. But the thing is I had to tell you this because when you're dealing with something that's nothing more than the business of decisions, that's all it is. The business of, are you going to do this or are you going to do that? And that's all it is. Well, everything else will work itself out because you already have, that's your money management has fixed itself out. Are you going to buy? Are you going to sell? Are you going to sit on your hands? And you're going to do a lot more. A good trader will do a lot more sitting on his hands. Why? Because it goes back to what I was saying. Every word that you says that has the letter I, you get paid $1,000. Every word that you say the letter E, you get kicked in the balls. You're going to watch every word that you say. In other words, you're going to analyze every trade you say to make sure that it has the risk to reward, all that set up, whether you're going to get punched or you're going to get paid. So basically, that's all it is. That's what this business is. You're going to analyze. Some more good traders sit on their hands and do anything else because they're not going to sit out there and say, oh, I know what I'm doing. I got this. I figured it out. I know. Because when they do that, they're gonna use some letters that they didn't know that they used, and they're gonna end up saying, "Damn, that hurt." Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Damn, man, that shit hurt." Yeah, I didn't mean to say that. Oh yeah, you did, because you didn't analyze the words. In other words, you didn't surmise your risk to reward. Well, that's why I've been putting these methods together, so that way it makes it a lot easier for folks to know this is where the I's are and this is where the E's are, and this is why I ain't gonna get hit and why I'm gonna get paid. Yeah, let me tell you what frustration is. This morning, my methods told me at 94, right? Let's see, 96. I can't see it very well. 96.10, I think it was, to buy the U.S. Swissy pair around 96.10. So I got in, I got my trade. I set up the limit order, and it almost never filled my limit order. I was like, damn, I never got filled on this, and I could have gotten in and said, let me chase the market, which is the worst thing you can do. The market is like a bus. If you miss a bus, another one will come. But if you try to chase the bus, like a dog tries to chase a car bumper, buses are pretty big and they go a little fast and they're a little heavy. I might be wrong, but I think a bus is a little heavier than a Mazda Miata. I might be wrong. Somebody help me out with that. But I think a bus has a little bit more girth. And I think when it stops, I think it's that momentum and that force, or when it pulls off, I think those who try to hold on to something that's moving, they might not be in their best. I might be wrong. I don't recommend trying it, but the market is a bus. You miss one, one comes back. So I sat at the bus, and the bus driver, I guess, didn't decide. Mr. Market says, well, let's mess with his head a little bit. He thinks he's got a handle on this. Bus driver, why don't, instead of that stop that he's at the bus stop, why don't we go one bus stop a little early and see let's just test his psychology for a minute. Yeah, this brother thinks he knows he got it. Yeah, he's been developing grails and predicting markets every day, and shoot, he thinks he knows me. Okay, let me see what he's really got, what he's really made of. So let me tell you what happened to me today. This is my trading day. I had some good trades in there, and I'm up here, So the market came down, and within one tick, in other words, Mr. Market told the bus driver, let's just not fill him. Let's not let him get on the bus. Let's just see what he thinks. And I was going to buy the market. And I decided, no, I guess I'm and look at what the market does. And this is now, I'd say with 10 contracts, about 3 months worth of pay in less than a day. That's 3 months. Probably could pay me for 3 months with my risk management in a few hours. My methods were solid. Everything was perfect to a T. My buy orders and everything. But Mr. Market said, hey, I got a little something for this brother because he's just been doing too much. He's been in advance of where I'm coming, so other folks are making all kinds of cash off of, his signals. We're not going to fill. It was one tick away from filling my price over 120 pips ago. Now, before I knew about psychology, I would be looking for maybe one of three things: to go into a Donald Trump rally and grab the mic and yell out Black Lives Matter and I'm here to beat up all of y'all. That was one of my first. I mean, years ago I would have probably done that. Or I'd probably look for a tall building or a bridge to jump from, without, I'm not talking base jumping. I'm talking just from being pissed. Or my third thought would have probably went and probably go out and probably carjack a police department or a police vehicle at the police department and dare them to do something, just so I can go ahead and say I made a point. I mean, that was before I knew it. I'm being facetious. No, I'm being facetious. No, that was before my psychology. I'm just, I wouldn't suggest doing any one of those. That wouldn't, maybe you would probably fare better at the first one. Going in and punching Donald Trump in the face at one of his rallies and telling everybody, Black Lives Matter, and yelling out in the middle, Black Power, and y'all kiss my ass, and burning a Confederate flag while you're at it. I think you would probably do much better in survival than the other two. But you see what kind of pain that is to have orders. Everything was just right. And just to see this, market never looks back, and have 3 months worth of pay, looking at it fizzle out of And then you did everything that you thought was right. But here's the funny thing. Most folks can't tolerate that. You have to just get right back on the horse and get back in. What would have even been worse? And the market stopped me out. And I'm like, okay, no worries. I'll just wait for it again. And then the market take off. That right there, I think, is probably someone who would probably go to the White House and claim that he's the leader of ISIS and dare the Pentagon to do something. Matter of fact, go to the Pentagon with an ISIS flag. I think that's that fourth option. I think somebody else would probably, they were, I'm being facetious. That's the pain and the frustration. That's someone who years ago who did not have psychology. They would probably do that. Can you imagine that? You get in there as your best trade of the week, get stopped out, and you maybe have a small loss, and you're like, no worries, it's a small loss. And then the market say, bye, psych, we were just joking, have a good day. Yeah, that's what this business is. Over and over and over and over. And you do? Most folks will be like, man, I can't deal with this. You got to get right back on the horse and wait for the next setup. You got to get right back on and say, okay, all right, next. I got other trades to do. So, because this happens all the time. It happens consistently. And it will happen again. That's what this business is. It's just it's a business of decisions. You make the decision, you get in, and you go over it and do it over and over. The thing is I try to tell folks, when you get into this, whatever you do, don't look at a chart. Know yourself. Or the ancient African proverb, know thyself. I guess it was at Kemet or Egypt, what they call Egypt, but I think it even originated, as most things, much further south. I'm even saying even more south than Ethiopia. The thing is, know yourself. When you lie to yourself, Mr. Market knows, because he's a polygraph. I mean, he's the best polygraph detector. Mr. Market's the best polygraph in the world. Because when you think you got it out and you lying to yourself, Mr. Market, see, instead of those polygraph with those little lines that go back and forth and they look like this, there's squiggly lines that look like this, and they're like, oh, he's just set to know. Mr. Market has a little shock treatment. Because what happens is when those lines go back and forth, they're going back, they're connected to electrodes. And these electrodes are kind of like little tasers, but the kind of taser that would make the entire New York Police Department proud. Matter of fact, they would go ahead and sell every gun they have just to have one. And you're connected to that. And you just so happen to be walking down the street. Mr. Market's like, hey, y'all, this guy, he's walking while black. He thinks he's lying to himself. And he's got, no, you're just connected to a couple of those electrodes, and de Blasio and and Bradley, what's his name? Not Bradley, what's his name? The police commissioner. They just get to go ahead and push that button every single day while and you're not being truthful. And they're like, oh, no worries, Mr. Market will let us know, because he's the best polygraph. And you're just being tased over and over and over. And a lot of folks say, oh, no, it ain't like this. Okay, no worries. See, Mr. Market's more patient than I am, because just when you think you know it all, or just when you think you got a handle on things, or just when you think that, oh, he's just alarmist. Okay, no worries. This can tell you much better than I could. Okay, right there. Because he can tell you, he told this little run right here, this right here can tell you all you need to know about what Mr. Market's all about. Okay, because that was the most frustrating thing that happened to me today. I sat there and I'm looking at my limit order. Everything was perfect. I said, okay, if it fills me, it fills me. If it don't, it don't. And then I saw the market take off. And a lot of folks said, why don't you get back in? Remember, this is the business of decisions. I'm not going to speak without knowing whether I'm saying the word with the letter I, or the letter E. Okay, I ain't gonna, because I don't know if I'm just going to speak without knowing, either I'm going to get kicked in the balls, or I'm going to get paid. And why take a chance if you know that you're going to get kicked twice and only get paid once? I mean, it's a business, and I can get more into the money management aspect of it, but I had to tell you what this is about. It is not about what folks think. So before you look at books, reading books, before you go out looking at charts, I implore you, whatever you do, don't do that. Leave every chart behind, leave books behind, spend at least a month or two. Or sometimes I tell folks spend a year. Know yourself. Know the things. When you start making decisions, do you procrastinate? Why do you procrastinate? Most of it is fear. Do when you think you don't use a GPS when even though you've been to that place 1,000 times? That's that feeling of I know it all. I already know. That's instinct. But what happens if all of a sudden the streets are closed? Well, I can use this street. What if that street's closed? I mean, it's little things. It's that feeling like, oh, I've got to pull out before everyone else does. So you're at a stoplight and you pull that car before anyone else pulls off. That's that rush to get in without knowing the scenario. Do you not see an ambulance coming through? Maybe there's a police car without its lights on coming through. It's little things. So somebody didn't invite you to a party, so now you got to make up for it. That's that feeling of missing out. That feeling that you had when everybody else was opening their presents. You saw that, and now you got that feeling. Remember, those things happen to you to this very day. Those same feelings that you had as a child, they happen to you this very day. So you go ahead and get into a market. All of a sudden, you're thinking, "Well, I'm going to get in on this trade." Next thing you know, the trade goes against you because you had to just chase that bus. That's what Mr. Market. That's what these are the questions I ask them. Why I ask the questions? Because these are the questions that will affect how your account. I'm telling you. I've been through it. I've been through it. And I'm talking years and years, over a decade. Damn near going two now. I've been through it. And you'll go through it every day. Because these feelings will come up. Just when you think, okay, I've got a handle on my psychology, all of a sudden somebody will go in and they'll say, hey man, here, I got a little drink for you. And all of a sudden you're drinking it and it tastes a little alcoholic. And you're like, ooh, what is this? You know what that was? That was Mr. Market's boo. Yeah, Mrs. Market. What she does is she gives you what's a little elixir, that's kind of alcoholic drink that makes you forget those feelings that you had, that you thought you had a handle on Mr. Market. The moment you thought, okay, I know what Mr. Market's going to do, but I'm going to be good with my psychology. His boo comes in, Mrs. Market, and she comes in and says, I just gave him a little something to drink to make him forget. Okay, to make him forget. Next thing you know, you're chasing trades. Next thing you know, you're using words with letters and not knowing which ones because you didn't manage risk. And Mr. Market says, thank you, honey. And next thing you know, he can do his job again and get some blood out of your account. That's what this business is. Hopefully this helps. I'm trying to save you money and time. And I'm telling you, well, what I told you right now saved you at least 10 years. But hopefully that helps.